How many planeswalkers is too many planeswalkers? I have a sweet brew for you using the new card Great Hall of the Citadel. It should be sweet. I should cast a lot of planeswalkers. Will I do a lot of winning? Maybe, maybe not. Let's find out. What is going on, vintage gamers? This is the last stream before I go on vacation for a little bit. Don't worry if you're on YouTube. All of the videos you've been probably watching have been preloaded, so no missing any Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I have a fun deck. I am going to play Planeswalker Stompy. Now, this is a deck I've almost played before. In fact, I'm actually 5-0 lifetime in Vintage with Interplanar Beacon in my deck. Back in 2020, I trophied a league with Zerta and Interplanar Beacon. However, this is taking it to a new extreme. So there's a new card being printed that maybe you are not aware of because it's a common. This is the Great Hall of the Citadel. Tap 1 and it add 2 mana of any combination of colors to cast only legendary spells. Interplanar Beacon, for those who don't remember, tap 1 and it add 2 mana of different colors. Spend this mana only to play Planeswalker spells. Planeswalker spells are all legendary. So if we combine our Great Hall of the Citadel and our Interplanar Beacon with our 6 Ancient Tombs, Soul Lands, we can play some quick and early Planeswalkers, especially those Planeswalkers that are of 2 different colors. So we are going to use our fast mana and play a bunch of Super Friends. And all of these friends are blue, which is really great, as we get to play a pile of forces to protect our walkers here. And then they're all of various 2-color combinations so that we can effectively use our Interplanar Beacon. A nice part about this is that the Beacon and the Citadel turn your typically colorless or off-color Moxen into the right colors, which is really, really nice. So our Mana Crypt plus a Beacon actually can cast on turn 1 a 2-color Planeswalker. Actually, one of the big limiting factors of 3-mana Planeswalkers in Vintage is that a lot of the time, it's quite hard to cast them just because of their color requirements. So we can get around that. Cards that are not likely to be cast in our deck are this Ancestral Recall and Time Walk, but they're too powerful not to play. And I've actually added 4, you could say 5 colorless Planeswalkers here with the One Ring and Karn, the Great Creator. I think the One Ring actually fits really nice into this style of deck where it does kind of lack card advantage with our 8 forces. So the One Ring being super extra easy to cast off of our 6 Ancient Tombs plus full Moxen suite seems like a shoe-in for this kind of deck. Sideboard, I am just playing the cards that make the most sense. So like Leylines, Dismembers, mostly Dismembers just mostly for mono white. We should be able to beat Collector Roof using our mana base, though Collector Roof is still kind of annoying. I have a variety of Tinker things in the sideboard. I think I just want extra. I think this deck will be very, very bad against Bazaar. So you can see in my sideboard, I am playing 4 Leylines, 2 Tabernacle, Tinker Sphinx. I'm going to play an extra Trap for combo, an extra Trinisphere for combo. I actually think Trinisphere is quite good in this deck, but I just find Trinisphere to only be good on the play. And so I've been playing a lot of sideboard Trinispheres recently. And then I do have 1 Lattice just for another WinCon with Karn. Our WinCon is mostly just going to be draw a million cards with our One Ring. I don't know, take infinite turns and attack with 3/3s, something like that. So pretty straightforward game plan. And hopefully it'll work out. I'm really excited because I do think this is like... The idea of Ancient Tomb plus Interplanar Beacon is something that I have tried in the past and is pretty fun. But of course, this is Vintage. It may or may not work. We'll see in round 1. If you'd like to see your deck played on this channel, check out the Patreon link in the description below where you can find all the information you need to submit a donation deck list. Let's battle. Okay, round 1, Planeswalker Stompy. Let's go. Oh, I forgot about Saheeli. I didn't have a Time Vault in my original build. I did play Saheeli in my 5-0 deck. Saheeli is like a super narrow card, unfortunately, but it's probably reasonable when you have the Time Vault. So this hand does not have an Interplanar Beacon, but it does have a Karn with Force backup, which is probably good enough. Sand is missing. We have 8 interplanar drinkings to draw into, we have a turn 1 Karn. Our opponent is on Luris, so they're probably on Jeskai, which is not the best deck to turn 1 Karn, but it's not a bad deck to turn 1 Karn. And if our turn 1 Karn resolves, which it probably will with our force backup, we can play a 3-ball on the next turn, which is totally reasonable. And if we draw like another Ancient Tomb instead, we can play a Lattice anyways. So I'm down, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you don't typically want to build a Karn board in your vintage deck because Karn is a restricted card. I like to have Lattice in my Karn board just because it's a win condition. But I think this Dak Faden looks like the worst of the 3 against the Luris deck. It would be nice, but maybe post board if we board out like a Chrome box. Oh, it's a W. My opponent probably kept like a Black Lotus hand. I guess they could technically be on Shere Khan Vault Key deck. Typical turn 1 win. Easy turn 1 win. I'm just gonna run back this 60. I don't really think there's anything I want to board in. Our deck is probably pretty bad against Lavinia, which I guess is something worthwhile. I don't really have cards that beat Lavinia, though. Like, Dismember is pretty bad against Lavinia, too. Okay, this hand slaps. I'm down. Lotus Petal looks a lot better than Mox Opal here. Karn is an absurd Magic card, so I'm not surprised the opponent just died to it. All right, Black Lotus again. I mean, I assume my opponent had a hand that had Black Lotus, or maybe they had like Sapphire, no land. Because Jeskai isn't really bad against Karn. Like, it can play through Karn no problem. Wait, isn't that sick here? Well, I guess it's not sick here because they have so much mana. I guess I have 6 mana though, right? So I can play Dovin plus Teferi, or Dak plus Teferi, or something plus Teferi. I mean, I have to expect my opponent will have Pyroblasts, but I can't really do much about Pyroblasts, so... This is definitely a play 2 Planeswalker moment. I just don't know which Planeswalkers and in which order. Oh, I guess we can't Dak and Teferi. That's fair. So I guess we are Dovining plus something. I guess the question becomes, are we Dovining first? Probably. Maybe we're just supposed to Teferi first. Oh, it just doesn't make sense to Teferi first. This Dovin really doesn't do a lot unless they do crack their Lotus, in which case then it starts making things a little bit harder for the opponent. Maybe we just want to Dovin plus Dak. I'd love to be able to Dak and Teferi this turn, but I do need, unfortunately, too many colors. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards just starting with Teferi. I guess there's like no world where I can pay for a Flusterstorm, right? 1 spell, 2 spells, 3 spells, Flusterstorm for 4. Yeah, they have Pyro. I'm gonna force it. I mean, I can't cast any of my spells after this anyways, so I might as well. Though the upside of this would have been... Okay, we're just a Resolver. Huh. Do I want to just bounce on nothing? I probably do. Because my Dovin can protect my Teferi from a creature. I'm not going to bounce the Lotus because they can just cancel it, I believe. In which case I wouldn't draw a card. Is that how Teferi works? I believe that's how Teferi works. Well, it does have a period, but wouldn't it fizzle? It would fizzle, right? Pretty sure that's how Teferi works. Just making sure so I don't look like a fool. Okay, I am correct. The classic cryptic command. Yeah, I think drawing a card is worth a lot more than making Dovin better. Like, I can still, like, draw into things and play Dak and do that if I really want to, but... Like, Dovin is already good just by being a -1, keep my Teferi in play. I think drawing a card is more important. Like, my opponent's deck is a very much a controlling deck. I don't think, like, trying to hit their mana here is going to be a huge deal. They have second red Elemental Blast. Is that what's happening? Oh, maybe they have Monkey. I guess if they have Monkey, it's kind of annoying, right? They can Monkey and kill my Teferi. Dovin is not very good against Monkey, I guess. That's kind of awkward. I didn't really consider that. If I had considered that, I might have plussed my Teferi instead. Hmm. Only I can make a deck where Monkey is good. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of regret my choice, but also drawing cards so good. I mean, it makes sense. Like, it actually looks really good for them to strip mine me, but it's not because I drew Ancient Tomb. Okay, so they do have Monkey, and they're gonna dash and kill Teferi. It's kind of unfortunate. It's like very unfortunate. I guess the good news is they don't get anything for their Monkey, so. I drew another Dak Faden. Yep, that's what we signed up for. The fact that they can just Monkey, it doesn't cost anymore, and my Dovin can't minus on it is so dumb for me. It's so good against me. And they can actually cast all these like blue walkers, and it's super good for them. Definitely getting punished for my choices. Oh, the Lotus has been broken. What's happening? Is a Fury? Oh, expressive iteration. Sure. 3-mana expressive iteration is fine. I do think that the game gets a lot better if we draw a Beacon or a Citadel. But the game is not going to get better unless we draw a Beacon or Citadel. I guess we can draw a 1-ring, right? A 1-ring is quite good unless they wasteland me. Oh. I see. Wait, my opponent's just going to play the Monkey? That's so much better for me. God bless. Thank you, opponent. Thank you, opponent. I appreciate that. I don't think we're going to win because we don't have that many turns, but yeah. They don't even have a land follow-up? He says he doesn't have a land follow-up. I don't have that many turns of Dovin prevention, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't have high hopes for winning this game. Artifacts cost 1 more. I probably should have just negated it. There's like so many more better targets. All right, technically on color Mox in here. Kind of. Time walk? Until the next turn. Sure, you got a time walk. And triple wasteland hand. An absolute classic. All right, what do I need in my life here? I probably need like another Moxen into an interplanar beacon. I think I should hold this in case I draw a Moxen. It's not a bad draw. If we get an Oko in play, things could be good, I guess. I just don't think it's going to resolve, unfortunately. My opponent has sat here and done nothing in their cantripping deck. Come on, man. I mean, our mana base was okay. It's just my opponent had triple strip mine. We cast 2 3-drops on turn 1. They just weren't good. They just weren't good 3-drops, unfortunately. Oh, put Luris into hand? Sure. I do think the Oko looks really good if we can get it in play and have it stick, but I just cannot do that. Okay, I think this game is close to a concession. Like, for what it's worth, we could have cast this Oko if our opponent didn't have double wasteland, right? This would have happened even if we were playing normal lands. Like, maybe we'd have a basic island in our deck, so maybe it'd be slightly less bad. they hit the one ring, huh? This game would have been better if I went Dak instead of Teferi. You're not wrong. Would you have minus Dak, or would you have been super smart and plus Dak? I think the likelihood we have a Dak is a lot lower than the likelihood we can cast an Oko. Yeah, I mean, I think playing Teferi makes the most sense for sure. I'm just gonna let this one go, and we got a force out of their hand, so it was a pretty big win already. We're just gonna bank our entire game on drawing a mana source this turn, like a Moxen this turn. That way we can just turn off the ring or steal the ring or whatever. I'm ready to concede this game is what I'm saying. I don't think double forcing my own ring is like a winning play either, so. Though unfortunately, Okoing a ring means Oko's dying, but if it resolves by, you know, all right. That's kind of what I figured would happen, considering my opponent didn't play any spells this game. So now we know for sure they're on Jeskai. Do we make any changes? No. We should have a good Jeskai matchup. Maybe we bring an Eternosphere on the play. Take out this Chrome Mox. Our deck is pretty bad against Wasteland, for what it's worth. I will do the admitting. Is taking out Chrome Mox good? Yeah, I think so. Vault Key, good versus Jeskai? Yeah, kind of, because Vault Key is colorless, so it can't be Pyroblasted or Flusterstormed. I think turn 1 Karn is worse than turn 1 Ring here. I'm gonna keep it just because I don't know. It's a good hand. We get forced, we're pretty dead, right? But I don't know. I gotta take my turn 1 Ring hand. Simply don't get forced has been called. Have you met me? Have I ever had my opponent not had the force besides game 1 of this exact game? Wait, no, my opponent had the force in game 1. I just had another force backup. They have a monkey. Oh, I got ponder. So if I draw any mana source in any land in my deck, I can cast either Dak or Oko. So that's pretty good. So that's like 23 cards are going to help me cast a spell next turn. That's a triple Lotus game from my opponent, though. Not bad. All right, so I have like 23 draws, which is not half of my deck, but yeah, buddy! Ding, ding, ding! Doo, 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 doo. So I can get my Chrome Mox. But I think I'm going to wait on that so I don't get lightning bolted. I don't know if it's actually correct to put this Lotus in the yard, but just in case something goes bad, I'm going to put the Lotus in the yard. Like, it fuels Delve, so... There's definitely downsides to killing Lotus, for sure. If I hit another Ancient Tomb, I can actually Lattice Lock them here, right? Kind of. Oh, they don't have Breach. Cat? Should we just Lattice Lock them? This attacks and they cast... Yeah. Okay. I did draw, like, really well. You may concede. Whoa! Oh, thank you, Mr. Luis. Welcome, Raiders. Hope you had a fun stream. Probably some Cube, right? I've been hearing rumblings of a lot of good Cube content over on LSV's channel. Have a good one. Thanks for the raid. Welcome, viewers. We are playing Vintage tonight. Not Vintage Cube, but our deck, I guess, kind of looks like a Cube deck. Maybe not. We are playing Planeswalker Stompy in Vintage. The goal here is to use our Ancient Tombs and filter them with our Great Hall of the Citadel and Interplanar Beacon to play broken 3-drop Planeswalkers. You just missed it, but we top decked our best 2 lands and we got a nice what are those top decks? GG's. GG's, opponent. GG's. Okay, round 2 Vintage League. We're up against OKMV, who has been featured on a lot of matches on our channel recently. OKMV is one of the few players I trust to pilot a 4-color Deathrite Shaman Planeswalker fair deck in Vintage. I'm usually not a huge fan of that deck, but they are a pretty strong player, and they're very adept at using the Deathrite Shaman to cast things like Renin 6, Oko, Boo, those kind of cards. This could be a challenging matchup just because opponent is playing a Renin 6 Wasteland deck, and our deck is very, very weak to Wasteland, I would say. However, it could be a reasonable matchup because we are playing a Planeswalker Mirror. That being said, my opponent probably has some amount of Pyroblasts in their deck, which will make this maybe not great, but we'll see how it goes. I think it's probably okay. I don't know if our opponent knows the Q pot. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right. I'm excited. What do we have this time? We have another turn 1 Karn. We've cast turn 1 Karn in 3 games out of what, 5? This card's restricted. You're only allowed to play 1 in Vintage, and we've drawn it a lot. So this hand is solid. We've got a nice turn 1 Karn or turn 1 Ring, depending on what we think is better. Opponent's got Ponder off of Sapphire, probably into Fetch Land to make this even better. I kind of like the idea of going Karn just to turn off their extra fast mana so that we don't get like booed or Oko'd or something. Ring should be good against them, but it also has some downside. Our opponent is probably also playing Dak Fadens and Okos. That's true. We technically could play turn 1 Dak and steal it. Dak is open to Pyroblast, though. So we have to make some choices. We definitely have to make some choices. I would rather not play the Dak, though getting a Sapphire is really good for us. Main deck Pyros? I believe OKMV is on main deck Pyros. Let me check. We can check. That's a play we can make. We're on the internet. I typed OKMW. The last list from OKMV contained a single main deck Pyroblast. I kind of want to play Dak Faden, actually. If we get a Sapphire, it's super good for us, right? If we get a Sapphire next turn, can we play the One Ring and Karn? No way, right? We're like way too far away from that mana. But we have a Dak in play. I came here to use the Interplanar Beacon, right? So let's use the Interplanar Beacon. I also gain a life. That's nice. Oh, we got a Resolver? I love it. Gimme, gimme, gimme. All right. Wait, maybe this deck is cracked. We are very far ahead of our opponent right now. Though I guess they could play Ren and 6 this turn, but we have so much mana, maybe it just doesn't matter. Oh, Ren and 6 shoot my Dak? Oh. Collector Oof. Okay. This doesn't give my Planeswalkers protection, does it? That's not good. This play is pretty weak to Collector Oof. That's a really good draw because it lets us play the One Ring this turn. I'm probably going to Dak, though. Let's see what our deck shows us here. All right, let's get rid of this and maybe one Tomb and then play a Ring. It's probably better than playing a Karn. So what I'm going to do is play a Mox Emerald, so I'll have 3 artifacts in play, and then I'll tap the Academy to get 1 blue for each artifact I have. Yeah. Oh, the Ring does nothing. That's also true. It gives me protection, but that doesn't really do very much. So maybe we do just want to play Karn and go for Lattice Lock then? True. Oh, we gain a life. Paying for our mana crypt. So smart. The problem is it's not a fog because it only gives me protection from everything, not my Planeswalkers. My opponent's going to kill my Dak Faden. That makes perfect sense. Now the question is... they had Wasteland. Yeah, our deck isn't like super good against Collector Roof. I did say it's okay, but we're going to have some problems. Another Beacon. I don't really have a sideboard for my Karn. It's just Lattice and Trinisphere, really. Does it make sense to play a Trinisphere? I don't really think it makes sense to play a Trinisphere. I don't feel like that helps us all very much. They could even have Beseiju. Yeah, we could just kill our Crypt this turn, to be honest, because we don't have any way to bring back this Academy. So I think we'll just play the Great Hall and kill our Mana Crypt. Everything is bad. This Collector was just very, very good against this draw. Yep, we absolutely are going to animate our One Ring once we get it in play. They're not even bothering with this Karn. If they didn't have a land drop, though, maybe a Trinisphere does make some sense. I actually think I am going to play a Trinisphere. My opponent didn't attack my Karn. I can block with Trinisphere as well if I need to. Kind of also want to protect my Ancient Tomb from Wasteland. All right, I got a force out of them. That's really good. I am super worried about third land Planeswalker, though. It's very hard for me to beat third land Planeswalker here. Are they going to attack Karn now? It's nice that I can cast any of the walkers in my deck with my current mana situation, though. We had some problems in game one, or round one, where I couldn't do that. Blue Narset. Energy Flux main? Energy Flux main. Okay, I see you, opponent. That certainly turns off my lattice lines. Ooh, we drew Oko. Immediately after I lost my entire board. I guess we can just make an Elk, though. We can go Mana Vault Oko. Do I need to make 2 mana here? Or can I do... No, I do need to make 2 mana, I think. I think I gained 2 life, right? Green, blue. Elking their oof doesn't seem like it does anything, though, right? What does elking their oof do? Like, I'm not going to play Lattice Lock because there's an energy flux in play, right? Oh, I guess I can flux their whole board, right? Oh, so maybe I should do that. I can just flux their entire board if I get to Lattice, right? Because they're the first person who has to pay, and they won't be able to pay. So maybe there's a lot of upside there. So maybe it's just plus play a ring, and I just lose out on some amount of game. Making an Elk isn't very good either. I was thinking about turning my Lotus or my Mana Vault into a 3/3 and just having a blocker. But I think the ring play... Well, let's see if the Mana Vault resolves, actually. Because they could have Mental Misstep, right? So I think it first makes sense to see if Mana Vault resolves. I guess. I guess it doesn't really change anything, right? It's probably still just correct to turn off this Collector Oof now. Well, I guess I can just go. It just pluses for so much. It's fine. Like this food token is gonna die, but maybe that doesn't matter. We actually gaining life off these planeswalkers is actually pretty helpful. They might just attack me, right? Probe. Sure. F6. This is a really weird game, huh? Blue is the expressive iteration. No, stack fading. I'm kind of happy I didn't give him a ring, huh? Maybe I'll pay for this food token. They might even keep back their collector roof. Probably not. It might be correct to pay for this food token. I guess I could... I guess we just resolve Lattice if we hit any mana source as well. Oh, this is such a hard choice. I think because we get a Lattice and we would just win the game on the spot, we just let it go. Man, that's sad. Maybe we elk a ring. Well, the problem with a ring is my opponent technically has a Dak Faded in play. They won't be able to activate our ring, but I can turn it into a non-artifact. Carning the ring, they can steal it. I'm pretty sure we want to elk the ring. I'm going to elk this ring. I definitely can't draw then elk. There is a collector roof in play. I also want a blocker. Carn it, then elk it. I don't think it does anything. I'm not sure because layers, but we're sure it doesn't do anything. It's really, I'm not in a very commanding position anymore because my opponent does have an active Dak Faded and 2 cards in hand. 4/4 Indestructible is pretty bad against my opponent's Dak Faded again. I know they can't activate it, but I just don't think it's a good idea to give them a ring. It's no longer an artifact once it gets elked. It is a legendary creature elk, which means I can't play my second one ring. I think my opponent is aware of the fact that a Lattice lock here would be bad for them, which is why they attacked Karn last turn. They pitched Boo Boo? What does that mean? What card is possibly better than Boo here? Oh. Demonic Cruise? Demonic Pyroblast on Oko. Okay. That's worse than Boo. I would have played Boo. I think that play is bad. I have a very low opinion of that play. If I hit a land here, I win the game. Didn't hit a land. I mean, it's not a waste of a demonic. It's a totally fine play. It's just worse than playing a Planeswalker. I don't even have anything else. Maybe I should have put a Soul Guide Lantern in my sideboard. I mean, attacking Dak is what we're doing. I just don't know how good that is. I don't have anything. I don't make Karn boards. I don't think playing another ring is good because it just resets and gets stolen and it's bad. Opponent should definitely have played Boo over Demonic. But that probably doesn't end up mattering. Like the opponent would have gotten very, very punished if I drew any mana, any land, I guess. Not any mana source, because there is an Oko in play. Or sorry, there is a Oof in play. It probably doesn't end up mattering, right? Like this Dak Vaden just digs into a treasure cruise or something, and then we die. This is a dig through time. Like it doesn't actually matter that opponent did that play because they were not punished for it. We had 2 draws and we missed both draws. I guess we don't have that many lands left in our deck. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we only have 9 lands in our deck. Should we have downticked Karn so we could force? Yeah, we definitely should have done that. If we were going to do that, though, I think we should have not attack, probably. But we definitely should have put a Sphinx in our hand so we could have forced. That was a good play. I just forgot. My opponent is going to Wasteland lock me out of this game now, though. So this game is super, super over. My opponent didn't Wasteland me? What is happening? This is an upkeep Ancestral? This is an upkeep Besage. This is an upkeep Dismember. Okay. I lost this game, though. This game was totally winnable. I just needed to put a Sphinx in my hand. I threw the whole game. Again. Maybe I should have elked this oof. I feel like I threw this game so badly, though. I just didn't think it would matter. And I liked the idea of like the oof flux line, but maybe there was just such a low probability of that happening. Because now they just wasteland lock me. They steal my 1 ring. It's just completely doomed. I guess now I still put the Sphinx in my hand. Wait, the Trinisphere has been exiled this whole time? Bruh. Oh, I could have had another blocker, man. I threw this game in 8,000 different ways. I should have just gotten my Trinisphere back and made it into an elk. If I had just gotten the Sphinx, I would have been able to negate this dig, and it would have been clear-cut victory as well. But yeah, I mean, I threw this game about 8,000 ways, so. Hit the interplanar beacon. Too strong. I draw the Ancient Tomb, but now I can't. Oh, I can still Karn lock them. Holy shit, we still win. Oh my god, they just never attacked my Karn and we still win. Well, win is not technically true, but we'll be in a winning position. Oh my, because they can't pay for anything and then I can't pay for anything. Well, I can pay for, oh wait, no, I can pay for Lattice because the oof will go away. No, they can't pay for the Collector Oof. They're dead because they have a Flux plus Oof in play. All of the stuff dies. This is the most crazy back and forth game of Vintage I've played in so long. Holy moly. If they had just wastelanded the ancient tomb... I feel like both of us played this game at an extremely low level. Oh, the flux is gone. I don't even have to pay, but I could have paid. Wow. 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 I don't deserve that one. I really don't. But we got there. We did get there. All right, so post board here. Post board. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out Vault Key, and I'm just going to bring in some Dismembers. And we should still be able to win anyways, so I don't think like having Vault Key is going to matter much. Do I want all of my Dismembers? It's possible. It's definitely possible. No, I have a Karn in play. It's just complete board wipe. So I'm thinking about taking out like Lotus Petal Chrome Mox and just playing more Dismembers. But I have forces for oof. But I just kind of want to limit the ways things go bad. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe 4 Dismembers is like way overkill here, but... No, I think Dovin is fine. It's not good, but it's not bad. Like, it's still going to minus on their creatures. Oh, I think that forgetting the Trinisphere is more forgivable than missing the blue card. Forgetting the Trinisphere is like a very specific interaction that doesn't happen all the time. Getting Sphinx for a blue card for your force is... Well, this hand doesn't work. Well, I thought about the Trinisphere, but I just didn't think it was exiled. I was like, damn, I wish I had a Soul Guide Lantern to exile my Trinisphere. This hand slaps, by the way. This hand is just awesome. This is like, this hand's so sweet. It's doing exactly what I want it to do. Turn 1 Walker, turn 2 Walker, turn 3 Walker. So I guess if the biggest thing I'm super concerned about is getting red and 6 locked. And I really don't have a lot of count. Oh, I thought I was gonna get Collector Roofed there. Well, I'm gonna play Dak Baden first. So that I can just steal this. I'm gonna make blue, and I'm gonna make red, and I'm gonna play Dak Faden. Obviously, I lose my Dak Faden, but I think getting rid of this Ruby is too important. They have Lightning Bolt? Or what's going on? No, okay. I could get Wastelanded here, which I guess would put me in kind of a bad spot. Like, Wasteland attack looks pretty good. Another nice thing is my mana base doesn't go in my graveyard unless I get Wastelanded. Ah. I wonder if we should just played Oko. All right, well, another one of my 7 remaining Citadel lands, maybe? I think I kind of like... Well, I really want to DAC them again. But I think this time I should just Oko and stand up my Ruby. I think having a creature in play is just so strong, right? I guess this lets them play Boo, which would be kind of bad, but... I mean, all of our plays are really bad against Ren and 6, right? I guess this Dovin is pretty bad because it doesn't tax Planeswalkers. I didn't really consider that part of it. I considered it a little bit, but not enough, probably. I guess the problem with standing up Ruby is that if I didn't stand up Ruby, then I could probably play Dak and Dovin in the same turn, right? Because I could make... Oh, no, I can't make double blue mana off this. I can make blue-white mana off this, though. That doesn't help me. No, that does help me. I could have made blue-white mana off of this. They have their own? Oh, they have a Narsat. Okay. That's not that good here. I have an active Oko Ruby. Do they have a Wasteland? They must have a Wasteland, right? Yeah, okay. Well. Ow. Oh, I don't want to do that. Wasteland is so good against our deck. Oh my god, it's so broken. I want to steal their Emerald. I guess they have a Dak Faden that they can steal if they have a fetch land. But then they have to use their Deathrite Shaman. I still want to play a Dak Faden. Maybe I just plus my Dak Faden. Yeah, then we just lose our Dak Faden for sure. I guess I can plus my Dak Faden and Elk their Deathrite Shaman. That still doesn't really stop them from playing a Dak Faden, though. I think I, like, steal the Emerald. And then... Wait, what if I steal the Emerald and then steal the Deathrite Shaman? No, it doesn't. That's so bad. I think I can get rid of my Mana Crypt at this point, though. What Elking? I guess the Elking Shaman doesn't matter much considering Dak Faden's dying to either. Yeah, I kind of like Elk Shaman the most. And Elk Shaman actually makes my Dovin better. Because then my Dovin is actually doing something. Don't have turn prevent all damage that will be dealt to and by. Okay. Yeah, we lose our Dak in this exchange, but our opponent... We actually kind of wastelanded our opponent out of the game. In a way. Oh god, please don't play Ren and 6. I guess we kill Ren and 6, right? We just kill Ren and 6. So that's not that bad. And we then Dovin on our way back down. Or we Dak. Alright. This deck is sick. I like this deck a lot. I think I'm gonna Dovin. No, I'm gonna Dak. Let's Dak. It's kind of funny that the life gain has kind of mattered a lot. Well, I'm not actually worried about any of my creatures dying, right? The Dovin doesn't do anything. And I'm not going to be able to cast my Dak next turn. I can plus and try to find... I guess plussing doesn't actually do anything either. I guess they both don't do anything. Well, filters what? Like, what are we trying to hit? Like, our opponent's going to wasteland our only colored source. But we get to maybe loot next turn. So maybe it would have been better. We could have looted this card away. I mean, having Dovin in plays here is pretty good, right? Maybe it's not that good. It also kind of makes it hard for our opponent to cast like Ponders and Preordains and Ancestrals and stuff, right? 2 mana Pyroblast. I think it was a choice. I feel like there's some pluses and minuses for either side. 2 mana Ancestral, see? Very nice. We can't get in with 12 power next turn because we don't have anything to stand up, unfortunately. Unless we draw a Moxen, in which case we still can't because we'll have Summoning Sickness. Ancient Tomb. I don't know. I'm attacking their face, though. I got a bunch of Elks, so... I don't know if playing the Acidity actually helps me at all. I guess if I get Wastelanded, which they have a Wasteland in hand, so yes. I guess it doesn't make sense to minus on this Collector Roof because they have to leave it back, right? So, yeah, I'll just go past the turn. If Oko could stand up walkers, that would be pretty sick. Oko would be a lot better in the Oko mirror if you could turn your opponent's Oko into an elk. That would be kind of... Would that make the card worse? Or better? I guess probably still better. But having Oko be a direct answer to Oko might have actually been really good for the health of the format. Well, it's a lot better than the old legend rule because you still keep your Oko. Right? So it would be a lot better. This has been a wild stream so far. This deck is pretty fun, though. I guess we haven't played against any Bazaar yet, so... All right, we didn't get Wasteland. My opponent just put themselves in 1 attack lethal range. That's kind of weird. Oh, they have a Boo. Oh, how does this affect everything? This is losing on board. Okay. They have realized it is losing on board. GG's. We got there. We got there. We drew like what? Runner beacons though? Okay, round 3, 2-0. We're up against a Wep. Our hand does not have an interplanar beacon, but it does have a turn 2 ring and force, so I'm actually going to keep it. I think that's like a justifiable line. Opponent's got Grim Monolith, so they're probably playing Jewel or Ring Control, or they could actually be playing some kind of, I guess, monocolor, colorless deck as well. It's a Trinisphere. Oh, this is a... Okay, yeah, sure. They are advancing their mana. They have, what is it? Why would you make another... Why do they make a monolith if they're going to do this? Shouldn't they have held this for their jewel? Oh, PO. I see. Okay, I'll force it. You have one card left in hand. I wonder if they follow up with like a Tinker Ancestral or... Wow. All right, Lotus Ancestral PO. They could always draw dead here, but they could always not as well. Top. Strong start from my opponent, though they lost a lot of their mana sources. They can still technically draw Mishra's Workshop plus Jewel. If chat is wondering what opponent's deck is, it is a Coveted Jewel combo deck. Coveted Jewel is a commander card, 6 mana, makes 3 mana of any color, and draws 3 when it enters the battlefield. I don't really have much going on for me, so it's quite bad. I am still very happy with my keep. Having a Force of Will prevented me from dying, but we're pretty far behind. Our opponent's hand was just more powerful than ours. They had Black Lotus and Ancestral in their hand. Opponent's deck is like pretty bad at casting Ancestral and PO, and they only have like 7 blue sources in their deck. So the fact that they had Black Lotus to cast both of them is just good variance for sure. Look, this looks like they drew Workshop and Jewel. Or is this Workshop and Ring? Well, I can steal this ring with Dak Faden if I draw anything that produces blue mana, including 9 of our lands. That would be really good for us. If not, going like Ring into Force of Will or Force of Negation would also be pretty acceptable here. This game is still within reach, but we do need to draw some good cards. That was not what I had in mind. Oh, I'm going to have to draw a Force off of this ring, probably. I can't imagine we're going to be going very far in life without a Force on this ring. Yeah. So I think it's pretty dead. But maybe they'll brick. I don't think they'll brick. It's pretty likely between a Sensei's Top and a ring that they'll find a jewel and then kill us in one turn. What is the highest level of Magic that I've ever played at in terms of like competition? I played 3 Pro Tours. I guess I should say I played 3 Arena Pro Tours or Arena Mythic or whatever they're called. I don't know what they were called. Arena level Pro Tours. No, Pro Tour level arenas? What is the term? I don't remember what the term was. When did I start playing? I started playing seriously in Scars of Mirrodin, but I learned Magic during Mirrodin. Set championships. Okay, I'll believe you. They were some of the worst tournaments I've ever played. Unfortunately. So every spell they cast now draws them a card with this Displacer Kitten plus Ring. That's not lethal yet, but it's getting pretty close. Oh, I played a Mox. That's true. I guess a Mox is a higher level than an Arena Pro Tour. True. I played in a Magic Online Championship Series event at the highest level on Magic Online. I think registering Boggles was great. That was probably one of the better decisions I made. That was like playing Leyline of Sanctity in that field was super good metagame call. It didn't work out, but like I went 1-1 and then I conceded a winning matchup. So I just lost round 1, so it didn't matter. All right, so now whenever they cast a spell, they draw 2 cards, which means the top is lethal, right? I don't think the top was infinite when it was 1 card, but now that it's a Mightstone and it's 2 cards, it is. Yeah, we just didn't have the right cards to win there. We had the Force, but we needed a quicker follow-up. So the good news here is we have a Mindbreak Trap, I guess, is the good news. Okay, that's the good news. The good news is we have a Mind Break trap. I mean, we have 8 forces and a Karn, so it's not really like it's a bad matchup or anything. Opponent just had a much stronger hand than us. They resolved an Ancestral, which is quite good. Karn is basically unbeatable for my opponent. Yep. So the Mox is two 8-man events, or I should 8-player events. One would be draft and one would be a constructed format. So mine was Vintage Cube Draft and Modern. And in Vintage Cube Draft, I think I might have lost round 1 in that as well. Or maybe I won round 1 and lost round 2. Either way, you have to go 3-0 in one of your 2 8-player brackets, and then you would play the finals. I think Trinisphere is actually just garbage against Jewel. So we could, but no. How are they beating me from there? They're going to draw through their deck and take infinite turns with Time Vault and Key. Or they can Karn Lattice me. Basically, when you draw through your deck, after that, it just doesn't matter. This hand has double force and also has turn 2 Teferi or Dovin, so this hand seems pretty good. I actually don't think Dovin is super good here. Like I said, I don't even think Trinisphere is that good against my opponent's deck. It definitely does something, but I wouldn't say it does a lot. Though Saga is pretty good against this. I'll have to Teferi it, basically. I mean, we haven't exactly played the decks you want Dovin in. But, I mean, Dovin is by far the weakest of the Planeswalkers we played. I mean, half of our Planeswalkers are banned in other formats, right? I do think Dovin has a pretty important role in this deck, though, in preventing my Planeswalkers from dying to creatures and from stopping my opponent from comboing off. My opponent just has Force. They pitch Tinker. Yeah, I guess so. I'm just going to lose to Saga here. I guess theoretically we can draw some Okos and that will save us. But probably not. Dovin is unfortunately a card I have to probably deploy after they make Karnstructs, and I would also need a follow-up spell to go with it. Well, so Narset isn't castable off of Interplanar Beacon, whereas... And I also just don't think Narset is, like, that good. I think Narset's a little bit overrated. I own my cards, but plenty of people rent, and renting seems like a pretty good choice if you want to play multiple decks. I would say mostly you probably just want to rent, but I would also probably recommend Card Hoarder over other competitors. I mean, I have and do play all other formats, but for the most part, I just play Vintage now. I don't have like a lot of time in comparison to my younger years. I mean, I grinded GPs and not SCGs really, but GPs and local SCGs and PTQs, RCQs, or not RCQs, RPTQs for a long time. But with COVID, I basically just became only Vintage. But I mean, I traveled all around the world playing Magic. Like I played a GP in Stockholm, a GP in Bologna. The funny part is when I was playing so much Magic, I wasn't good. I was one of the fish. And now I'm actually much better, which is really weird. So unfortunately, I can minus a Dovin on a construct, but the other construct's just gonna kill it. It's probably still worth doing. Maybe it's not. Maybe like holding up force is better. I just don't know how am I getting out of this game? My opponent had force backup for this. Yeah, Kane Evan is definitely a powerful combination. So like, I kind of needed to draw, you know, Dak Faden. Like, it's not like I'm cold to construct tokens. I have 4 Okos and 4 Daks in my deck. It's like really frustrating actually, because this shouldn't be a bad. Like, I have the One Ring, which completely blanks construct tokens. I have Teferi, which is good against construct tokens. Like half of my deck, like all of these cards are incredible against construct tokens. But you got to draw the cards. Like, I didn't even include extra hate for like construct tokens into my sideboard because I didn't feel like that was necessary. Can I play Dak and Dovin? I actually think I can, right? Opponent's probably gonna have forced backup, but yeah, doesn't sound like the best person to hang around. All right, this did stabilize me, so we get to play this game out, but I don't believe we're in a winning position still. We're definitely in a better spot, though. Let's see what happens. Opponent could still just play a Jewel, right? I guess they have to pay 1 more for their spells now. Oh, I guess paying 1 for their spells does not matter, considering they have infinite mana. Not infinite, but infinite as an extremely large amount. Is this a Dismember? What is this? Oh, it's a Metamorph. So they just get another construct. Yeah, a second construct here is definitely a problem for me, because that means there's a third construct, and I can actually beat 2 constructs and then steal another construct, but I can't. I need another answer, basically. That is technically an answer. That's also technically an answer. Though I'm at 2 life. Huh. So I can go Chrome Mox, Pitch Force, Time Walk, which is probably better than playing the One Ring. And then I can construct and steal. I can steal another construct. Yeah, okay. Awesome. I'm glad you're having a good time. Thanks for hanging out. All right, so I'm going to go Chrome Mox. And I'm going to pitch Force of Will. And that's going to give me an actual blue mana. And then I'm going to Time Walk. They have Hardcast Force. Oh, they're making a construct. And then they're going to Hardcast Force. Wow, really? That's crazy. Well, the thing is, it's not exactly a ring meta. That's just super unfortunate. I mean, like I said, I think my opponent drew well above average in those games, and that's sometimes magic. Pass. Okay, all right, round 4. We just took our first ever loss with Interplanar Beacon. This hand has the classic turn 1 Teferi. Yeah, why not? Keep. What could possibly go wrong? This is really fun. I like that my lands let me cast turn 1 Planeswalkers. Interplanar Beacon better than Urza Saga? You know, we should have the conversation. One makes 2 different colors of mana and one dies before doing anything. Oh, we're so doomed. Nah, maybe we're not doomed. My opponent had the on-color Moxen. It's fine. It's fine. So we have Soul Ring. It's so bad for me, chat. Lavinia is such a broken Magic card. Soul Ring doesn't even accelerate me because there's a Lavinia in play and all my things are spells. Sad. Saga busted. I don't know, man. We've had this conversation before. If you want to learn more about Urza's Saga, I have an hour-long dissertation on it. Feel free to check that out. Oh, we're so doomed. Opponent just playing on-color Moxen, turn 1 Lavinias. That's so illegal. Oh, come on, man! Bro. This hand is so good, man. What are we waiting on? You're admiring my hand? I can't even play Teferi this turn. It's doomed. It's doomed. I wish this made, I wish Time Walk was legendary. Hey, Oinkster, I'll give you a quick question. If you were to add all the Saga decks up and give them a total win rate over the last 90 days, what would you say that would be? Oh, slightly less than 50% was the answer. In fact, Saga decks are actually struggling across the board in Vintage. Who could have thought? All right. Well, I am going to play Teferi and see if it resolves. I mean, again, we've been over this a million times, chat. Urza's Saga is a clearly powerful card, but if you are ready to beat it, it is super exploitable and super vulnerable and can absolutely lose you games. And currently, the metagame has been playing with Urza's Saga for over 2 years. People understand what the card does and how to beat it, and it's just... it's going to hurt you more than it's going to help you. Against the decks that are like the actual best decks in the format, Saga is just not good against them. It's very good against dirtily decks that don't do anything, which don't really exist in Vintage. But again, we've been over this. I made an hour-long video detailing the pros and cons of why Saga's good, when Saga's good, when Saga's bad. But I mean, go ahead, just say Saga's great. Doomsday doesn't give a shit. Doomsday doesn't care. Jewel doesn't care. Countervine doesn't care. Dredge doesn't. No one cares about Saga. None of the good decks in the format care about Saga. It takes too long to get going. Oh my god, opponent. Freaking mercy. They're gonna cast Tinker Ancestral and turn 1 Lavinia in the same game? Sheesh. I'm just gonna resubmit. We're already pretty much where we want to be. Shouldn't we have plussed on Lavinia? Yeah, probably. I don't know. The game was over. I wasn't really paying attention. Saga versus Initiative? Terrible. Terrible against Initiative. Horrible versus Initiative. It takes too long to get going and it just gets wastelanded. And you like putting a Saga as your land drop means you can't cast actual spells. Saga does not tap for blue mana. What the fuck do you think good cards are, Oyster? It's when they're good even when people hate on them. Oh my lord. Win rate of mono white initiative, slightly above 50%. Is Mud still a thing? It's kind of diminished, but yeah, it's still a thing. Like, if like you don't take a card in, like, we had this conversation last night with Not Me. Not Me said it pretty well. You don't take a card in a vacuum. You have to take out what it's doing against the cards in the format. And if everyone in the format is good against Saga, does that mean that doesn't mean Saga's doing anything, right? Everyone should be 100% sure of my opinion on Saga. I again made an hour-long video. If you don't know my opinion on Saga, you're just not listening. Yeah, but you to this day, people are still make the wrong assumption on what I think about Saga. So, all right, well, I'm going all in on a One Ring here. Hope it goes well. You'd be surprised. Like, he's trolling, but like to this day, everyone still misevaluates my interpretation of how good Saga is. They still think I say Saga sucks, which is something I'm not saying. All right. Well, I think we lose this game too. I think I'm always keeping a hand that plays turn 1 ring, because if it resolves, I just win the game, right? Like, I have to keep it, right? All right, well, I kind of need to draw my interplanar beacons now. I have 8 of them in my deck, so... Okay. So, if I steal this Sapphire, it means they won't be able to activate Saga. Pretty nice. Also gives me a blue mana. Also gains me a life. You don't have a third force, do you? No. All right, I want that Sapphire. Thank you. All right, so my opponent can draw another Moxen off the top, which will save their Saga. And if they don't, then it's really good for us. If they do, we still have a Teferi. We did not draw a Mox. This land is Interplanar Beacon. It's a very high power land. Some in chat have already said better than Saga, so. All right, I'm going to plus on myself and try to draw a mana source so I can get a Teferi in play. Though I probably won't bounce Saga. I'm probably just going to bounce the Mana Vault back to my hand, which will give me more looting things. Make blue and white mana. Gain 2 life. I think bouncing Saga here is... They drew Force? Alright, so that's my third Force from the opponent. I don't think I was going to bounce Saga here anyways, so... The biggest problem of this is that I no longer have a blue card for Force. Which leaves me in a pretty awkward spot if they have, like, Natural Volt Key. Though they don't have a land, so they can't go Natural Volt Key here. Then they would just get stolen by Dak. So we're not super worried about Natural Volt Key. Oh, they're just going to Needle Dak. Okay, sure. I mean, that puts me on nothing, right? So maybe it's pretty good. Though they don't have any lands. Oh, they drew a land. Okay. Do they have Tinker? That'd be pretty nuts, huh? White Plume Adventure. Sure, yeah. Need to draw my Oko. Really punish that. Wait, where'd this Pearl come from? They must have drawn it for turn, right? They can't have drawn all of these for turn. They must have drawn Force for turn because they didn't force Dak Faden. Maybe they drew Pearl this turn and Force last turn. This looks like a tough matchup. I think this is probably a good matchup, actually. My opponent just drew 3 forces. And I drew Force of Negation instead of Force of Will. Like, an Oko just completely wins from here. But, again, we don't have that many card draws in our deck. Like, a One Ring completely wins from here as well. Basically, we needed to resolve our spells, and we didn't resolve our spells, so... I think most Vintage decks have a pretty good matchup against this style of deck. I have a pretty low opinion of how strong this deck is. The best part of this deck is just Tinker. But even then, it makes the Tinker part of it kind of bad. But if you draw, like, Ancestral, Time Walk, and those cards, then just like any Vintage deck, it can be good. The third Force of Will was, like, the real kicker here, because if I had a Teferi in play, we are in a super, super reasonable spot. But the third Force of Will was too much. So we want to draw a ring or... Well, now they have a Lavinia. Okay, so now we can't draw anything. All right, so now we are dead. Well, I guess we can technically draw that. It just doesn't do anything. I do like the more recent configurations of this deck that cut Seasoned Dungeoneer. They're definitely better. But it still feels like you could use your flex slots a little bit better than playing initiative creatures. Well, the trick to Vintage is that any deck that plays Ancestral, Time Walk, Tinker, these kind of cards can win. You can play basically whatever you want in your other slots. And if you play the broken cards and you draw the broken cards and they resolve, you can totally win. I mean, this deck is a pretty good example, right? Like, we won a bunch of games already because we played turn 1 Karn. Not really on the merit like, we won some games on the merit of our other cards, but a bunch of the games we won was because we just played the restricted cards and resolved them. And that's, like, the trick. And that's, like, kind of historically one of the nice things about Vintage is you can technically brew within the space, because as long as you're playing blue, you can kind of do whatever you want. That's been, like, less true recently because of how powerful Mono White Initiative and Bazaar have been. But that used to be true a few years ago to, like, a really, really high degree. All right, here we go. 5th and final round of this Vintage League featuring our Planeswalker Stompy deck. It's gone pretty well when it works, and then when it doesn't work, it looks very embarrassing. This hand, unfortunately, doesn't have enough mana to be worth keeping. Opponent has been doing a lot of the same things as our last opponent has been doing, so I kind of expect that. This hand looks quite good, though. Shouldn't need a city. I think I'm just going to go with this hand here. Favorite basics. I play with the APAC Island for Venice. I like that one. Typically, I'd like it to be an old frame land, if whenever possible. But I don't really mind too much either way. I should probably play this. I'm not sure if I should play this Sapphire out, because there are things that punish me for playing a Sapphire out, like Dak Faden. But I guess getting Lavinia... See, like, getting Lavinia wouldn't really matter, right? So, I'll still play out the Sapphire. APAC? Whatever. They're the Europe and Asia cards. Are they called something different for the EU cards? I thought that everyone just called them APAC. Euro lands. Sure. Yeah, Euro lands. Euro and APAC lands. Those lands. I'm aware of where Venice is. Thank you. All right. Green. I don't think Venice is... I'm not sure Venice is actually my favorite, but the Euro lands are old frame on Magic Online, and the APAC lands are not old frame. for some reason on Magic Online. I don't know why. But I don't want... I would rather... the aesthetic that we're currently going for in our decks is as many old frames as possible, so... Yeah, I'm not really sure why they're not old frame, but... So is this going to be an Orcish Bowmaster, probably? Oh. Maybe it's just Vamp for Ancestral? Wait, what does this thing do again? I can anticipate or I can untap things. Okay. Favorite Magic Artist. I don't think I have a favorite Magic Artist. So I feel like negating this is kind of bad. It feels like they have a Flusterstorm. Foils are fine. You should probably not play foils if you're playing a competitive tournament, but they exist. I'm like pretty worried about getting Flusterstormed here, but I think I'm playing the ring anyways, so probably pitching Teferi doesn't matter too much. Yeah. I don't know. The nice thing is this will mean they won't be able to play like immediate Bowmaster in response to the ring. I'm not sure. The problem is I'm like never going to be able to negate them if they have a Flusterstorm anyways. Because I'm going to be playing a 4-drop every turn. They didn't draw a land off of that. That's quite good for me. Kind of makes me think they're going to force my One Ring then, but... Yeah. I mean, foreign language cards are sweet. I prefer things with scripts that I don't use, so... Chinese, Korean, Japanese... I mean, there's like some upside and some downside to foreign cards. Having to like get an Oracle text for a foreign card is quite annoying. I remember when Kane handed me their what was it? It was the blue-red Pioneer deck. What is that deck called? And the entire deck was in some other language. I don't remember which one it was. And I didn't know like much of the cards. I kind of calling judge on myself to get the card Oracle text. Phoenix, exactly. I was like, man, I think I know what pieces of the puzzle does, but I really need to check to make sure. I think I played a Phoenix Mirror round 1, and I was like, called the judge to get the Oracle text, and my opponent's just like, here, it's in my graveyard. All right, well, I'm out of forces, so I don't really have anything to say here. My opponent can do whatever they want. If they tinker, it's probably bad for me. Pass. Maybe they have a Hull Breacher. This is almost certainly a Hull Breacher, right? So the way I can play around this is by dacking their Soul Ring and then activating our ring in response to Hull Breacher or like anything like that. It's quite the payoff. Isn't there only like one card in that? So here we get to bring their Soul Ring to our side, which is actually going to greatly increase our current mana situation. And then we're going to go to combat so that they have to cast their Hull Breacher now. And then we're going to activate the One Ring. Oh, they didn't have a Hull Breacher. Huh. Does that just mean that they have a Bowmaster? I'm going to attack because I can't protect a Dak Faden from a Bowmaster anyways. So I should just draw them with my ring then, right? If they Bowmaster, it's not even that bad. Oh, they have a Swords. Okay, sure. I mean, I feel like we're just like super far ahead now, right? This is kind of how I wanted my last matchup to go. This is I think my opponent's playing the same deck as my last round opponent. This is kind of how I envisioned the matchup going. I'm gonna play this Chrome Mox as a nothing burger and just turn it into an elk. I think I'd rather have this Sapphire still going. All right, so I have an Oko in play, a Ring on 2, a Dak in play, a Dovin and a second Oko in hand. I'm still pretty worried about Hull Breacher, and I think my opponent has a Hull Breacher almost assuredly. But maybe they were still playing around it. So now I can actually force them to play the whole... No, wait, this doesn't make Hull Breacher cost more. Well, the problem is, I think it's really bad for us if we activate the Ring into a Hull Breacher or activate Dak Vaden into a Hull Breacher. I guess maybe if we activate the Ring into a Hull Breacher, we can then steal it with Oko and then Dak them. That's probably not even good though, right? Isn't it better to just keep Okoing things and attacking and just like not activate our Dak or the One Ring? We could even stand up our Ring with Oko if we wanted to and play a new Ring. I don't think I'm going to activate into this Hull Breacher. I think I might just turn this Ring into an Elk. I wish this made the creature cost one more, but it doesn't. Yeah, I know, but I think that's okay. We can... Well, maybe we don't play the One Ring immediately, and we just wait until they have to trade. I just think it's super bad for us, right? It's super bad if we get Hull Breachered. Maybe I'm supposed to play second Oko and stand up another thing? It's probably not right. I'm just definitely going to get this Ruby in play so I can stand up more things next turn. I'm just going to pass. I think playing into a Hull Breacher here would be a way to lose this game, and I'm not going to do it. Yeah. I guess theoretically my opponent could Twister me, but I do have a Dovin in play, so they need 4 mana. I just think if I Dak, it's actively too much of a... I think giving them a treasure is really bad. Like, they cast a Vampiric in this game. They had a Soul Ring that they considered using 3 mana for. Like, it just feels like a pretty reasonable way to lose is giving them treasure tokens. Like, they were constrained on mana for a long time in this game. They even missed a land drop at one point. My evaluation is that if I give them treasure tokens, it will be bad for me. Especially because I'm trying to constrain them with Dovin, and they have so many cards in hand. I think my plan is just going to be let them put the Hull Breacher in play, and then play maybe double Oko, stand up 2 things, attack for 9. This is a 2 mana spell, so Time Walk probably. Maybe it's Treasure Cruise or something. Oh, Dig Through Time. Wow, they had just enough to cast Dig Through Time through Dovin. This means that they need to hit a land drop so that they can play like a Force or something. They're just dead. Okay, cool. I think we played that game extremely well, if I had to guess. I guess the Hull Breacher is kind of annoying for us, right? So maybe it makes sense to bring in some amount of Dismembers. Wonder if I'm supposed to bring in Trap. Maybe not. That game went really well. That's exactly how I thought this matchup would go. And it just didn't go that way last time, but I don't think we were on the play in that game, right? This hand has a Force and a turn 1 Dovin. It's not the greatest, but they just Force check me, or they just F6 check me, or maybe they just click through it. Okay. I was on the draw that game. It was a really impressive game for the deck, so Wow, Black Lotus. So if I go... If I go Lotus first and make white mana, I can play Dovin, and then I can still play Teferi after, and it'll be uncounterable. I got a force out of them, pitching misstep. So now the question becomes, do I want to play another Dovin, or do I want to play a Teferi after they've forced once? I mean, we don't know if we can. My opponent could easily have Mind Break Trap or another force. But I do think it's probably worth it. I'm going to probably just get rid of this negation. Well, I can technically find a blue card off of Teferi. Yeah, I'm actually going to pitch the Dovin, even though I can cast it after. And then I'm going to anticipate with my Teferi. If it resolves. If it doesn't resolve... Oh, wow, they just had double force. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was super worried about, but it's pretty hard for me to not make that play. All right, just need to draw... I mean, even if we draw Planeswalkers, I can't cast... I can cast Dak Fade in. She lets me cast negation. They pitched Lorien. Maybe they won't have a second mana source. They don't have a second mana source. That's so good for me. Wow. It's really, really good for me. It's because they had to pitch their Lorien to Force of Will. Okay, I mean, this is going to get them top, which is definitely still going to be hard for me, but this land goes away, which is actually really good for me. And I still have counter spells, and I actually can cast either of my counter spells, so I actually think I'm in a really good spot now. I haven't actually had the ability to cast these hard cast, and I probably won't for most games, but I do have my Chrome and my Sapphire. What is happening? They got Lotus? They're going for, oh, they're going to go for, huh. This means they have Twister in their hand, right? I think I'd rather they invest their Lotus into Twister. They don't? I mean, they could have had Fluster, I guess. I mean, I don't think it's correct to counter this Hull Breacher. Maybe they have two Hull Breachers. Why would you get Lotus, though? I don't know. I don't understand. What up? I'm just going to get rid of their Lotus with my Dak Faden. I guess they could just have second Hull Breacher, in which case it's really bad for me, but... I can't activate this Dak Faden on plus anyways, so... White mana. Weird. So, hi. We don't have a lot of removal in the deck. We have plenty of removal. We have 4 Teferi and 4 Oko and 2 Dismember. We have a lot of removal. I don't think this Hull Breacher is the end of the world. I was really worried about Flusterstorm as well. So I think it just... I was hoping they would just, like, break their Lotus and cast a Twister, and then we could just counter that. We have a lot of lands to draw. So that's what I was thinking about. So that's not great. They're stuck on mana. I guess if they do draw a Saga, though, it's pretty far behind. We're pretty far behind. What is this? Okay, that's totally acceptable. Well, they're probably going to get Ancestral... And then we probably need to force pitching. We have to probably pitch cast because if they have a Flusterstorm, we can't pay for it. I mean, they just simply wouldn't Twister if they didn't have a Hull Breacher resolve. They would not cast Twister. So I would love to cast Negation here, but I think if opponent has Flusterstorm, it would just be too bad for us, right? I think I just have to pitch cast. I think I need to really respect Fluster here. And just hope we draw an Oko. Or Teferi. Teferi's good. We actually don't even need to lose our City of Traders for that. And then they can't even replay this. This is so good for me. Wow. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to hold that Mana Vault in my hand for a possible Dak Faden draw. That's actually probably correct. They drew a Mox, so they can actually play their Hull Breacher back out, which is pretty bad for me. Oh, they cast Yogwill? Oh, they have Black Lotus Saga. Okay, yeah, that's a super good Yogwill. Imagine not playing Yogwill. Man, couldn't be me. Wow, they get to go Lotus. Wow. Wait, shouldn't they have just Mystical for Tinker? No, they're 1 mana short of Mystical for Tinker. Yeah. This is the big downside of the play that I made countering Ancestral if my opponent draws another payoff spell. Wow, that was so bad for me. Yogwill is so good. I guess I wouldn't have been... I had Teferi anyways, right? So I wouldn't have been able to hold up a force this turn anyways. So it doesn't really matter. I guess I could have, because I could have just used my Interplanar Beacon with my City of Traders, and I would have been able to hold up force. Maybe that I would just lose on that. They got Twister. Okay, so they're going to go for Twister next turn, and then we'll lose the game. So I need to draw either an answer for Hull Breacher, an answer for Twister, or something else. That's good. Karn, maybe? No? All right. So my opponent Mysticaled for a Time Twister, and they have a Hull Breacher in play, which means they're going to draw 7 and get 7 treasures, and I'm going to draw nothing, and we will immediately lose the game. So there's no reason to play it out anymore. I'm going to bring in this trap. Maybe on the draw. Actually, maybe on the play. It doesn't make sense to bring in trap. I still think I like the Ancestral play, but maybe there's a world where I can afford to lose to Fluster there. I don't think so. I think the play made sense. Oh, nice. This hand is sweet. Oh, man, every time I play turn 1 3-drop Walker, it just makes me feel really happy inside. Very enjoyable experience. Would play turn 1 Teferi again. Blue and white only for Planeswalker spells. If this resolves, I'm not going to minus. I am just going to plus. That'll let me be able to minus on like a Lavinia or something. Oh, they got Force Pitching Hull Breacher. Okay. I still have Force, and I have Dak and Teferi, so I have some good options depending on what they choose to lead with. Yeah, I mean, it's just basically, do I respect if my opponent has Fluster or not? And it kind of felt like to me that I should respect Fluster there. I didn't have anything to fight over. If I had a force, would I have fought over it? Probably not. So my opponent's gonna put Ancestral on the top of their library, and then we get to negate their Ancestral. Might be in a good spot. I'm not going to minus this Teferi. I'm going to plus this Teferi so that I can minus, like, if they play a Saga or something. Okay, so I assume they got Ancestral, right? Yeah. So we'll probably force their Ancestral pitching Force. Because I think the Dak Faden is more useful, especially with the ability to draw a card here if they played something that we could bounce. I mean, we could even... that's a pretty reasonable card to get rid of anyways. So... I think because my opponent's not playing Pyroblast, they don't have very many good direct answers to Teferi. I'm pretty sure I'm going to plus my Teferi one more time. So I'm just going to plus on myself with the Dak and just get one card here. Oko definitely being that card. And then I'll just plus here, and we're going to try to grind them out with Planeswalkers in Vintage. Let's see if we can do it. It certainly looks compelling, and my opponent definitely doesn't have a lot of cards after they force pitching a card and then Mystical eating a draw step. They can't end of turn Hull Breacher because we have an active Teferi, so they have to cast it on their turn. They didn't. So... what do we want to do? I have 4 mana. I could theoretically make extra mana with my Teferi. Drawing a card. I think it's just so important to keep this Teferi at the ability to minus a couple times. So I'm just going to plus again. And yeah, you can't do anything about this opponent. I have a Teferi in play. You can't play a Hull Breacher. So my opponent should have played a Hull Breacher on their turn, but they tried to play a Hull Breacher on my turn. Teferi a little broken like that. Oh, they're done. They're dusted. Not bad. Not bad at all. That was a fun league. We got to do a lot of cool things in that league. That was a sweet 3-2. I actually really liked the idea of Ancient Tomb, Interplanar Beacon. Maybe someone should try it in Legacy. I know there's like there was technically a top 8 in Legacy that had Interplanar Beacon, Ancient Tomb, Planeswalker Stompy a while back in this year. But now that you have 8 Interplanar Beacon effects, it's actually pretty compelling, though I guess you don't get Oko in Legacy, so you probably have to play some worse cards. But you do get the Ring and 8 Tombs, so I don't know. There's something, I actually think there's something like pretty interesting and compelling about this deck. It obviously has some clunky draws, but it seems like it works just well enough. I'd be down to play it again. Hope you enjoyed this video. More YouTube vintage content Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll see you then.